A very good afternoon, everyone present today. Great leaders are almost always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand. I, Dr. Swati John, Assistant Professor, Amity Global Business School, Pune, with my co-host, Dr. Shamshi Sukumaran, Assistant Professor, Amity Global Business School, Kochi, feels privileged to welcome you all to the Leadership Summit 2022 on the theme Post-Pandemic Economic Recovery and March to $5 trillion Economy. As rightly quoted by management guru Peter Drucker, if you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. The COVID-19 pandemic is transforming how we think about our economies and our societies. The policy choices made today will determine their success in building a transition to a greener, more inclusive, and more resilient tomorrow. It is an opportunity to chart a path that empowers everyone to face the future with confidence. Today, we will build an understanding on economic recovery post-pandemic, and to build this knowledge, we have luminaries from brilliant industry to share their pearls of wisdom on the theme, followed by panel discussion, which will be moderated by respected head of institutes of Amity Global Business School, Pune and Kochi. Before the commencement of today's event, on behalf of Amity Global Business School fraternity, I take this opportunity to thank our esteemed founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, for providing us this platform. I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to respected Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, for constantly encouraging us to pursue excellence. We are immensely grateful to our Senior Vice President, Amity Education Group, Mr. U. Ramachandran sir, for his constant motivation, guidance, and support in all our endeavors. As a tradition at Amity, we start all our endeavors by seeking blessings of the Almighty. The student of Amity Global Business School will now present Saraswati Vandana, a tribute to Goddess of Knowledge, Ma Saraswati. Thank you so much, students. Your hard work and efforts are truly appreciated. On behalf of Amity Global Business School, Pune and Amity Global Business School, Kochi, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to respected Senior Vice President, Amity Education Group, Mr. U. Ramachandran sir, eminent guests from industry, the head of institutions, distinguished representative from AGBS headquarters, teaching fraternity, and dear students to the Leadership Summit 2022 on the theme Post-Pandemic Economic Recovery and March to $5 trillion Economy. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Arijit Datta, President and Business Head, Uno Minda Group, Mr. Ashish Chandra, CEO and MD Bharti Airtel Sri Lanka, Mr. Madhu S. Nair, Chairman and MD Cochin Shipyard Limited, and Mr. Nawaz Miran, CEO Eastern Continents Private Limited and Chairman Miran Group. We welcome all the dignitaries for joining us on the Leadership Summit 2022. Can we have a huge round of applause for the dignitaries present today?
Let me introduce respected Dr. Prasada Rao, popularly known as Dr. Rao, Director General, Amity Global Business School, Hyderabad. Dr. Rao is a PhD in management, holding an MBA from University of Leeds, UK, and degree in electronics engineering. He has 35 years of experience. He has served various reputed companies like Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, General Telecom Organization, Muscat, Institute of Public Enterprises, Yembu University, and ICFI Business School. May I now invite Dr. Prasada Rao for the welcome address.
Sir, your mic is on mute. Kindly unmute.
I'm sorry. Oh, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Distinguished guests from industry, organizers, faculty members, HYs, and dear students. I take immense pleasure in being part of today's event, the second in the series of Leadership Summit 2022, based on the theme Team India, Technology, Expertise, Adaptability, and Management. At the outset, let me express my gratitude to Honorable Founder President Sir, the architect and creator of this mighty Amity world, and to the young and dynamic leader, Honorable President and Chancellor Sir, who is a source of constant inspiration and the spirit behind AGBS. And to the respected Senior Vice President, Mr. U. Ramachandran, for his untiring efforts that made AGBS what it is today, for his dogged perseverance and indomitable commitment resulting in setting up of universities in Kolkata, Ranchi, Patna, and Mohali. Now coming to the topic, since it is technology based, I would like to say a few words about technology. Technology is disruptive. Each time a technology changes, it sends all previous ones and the businesses based on them into oblivion. This has definite impact on the way businesses are conducted. Those who adopt, they remain successful, and those who are not, they fail miserably. And we had classic examples. Technology and its adoption by industry has a tremendous impact on economy. Therefore, I can say a symbiotic relationship exists between the three, that is technology, industry, and economy. How technology has changed businesses? Let's just take an overview of that. Through mobile solutions, number one, more people are using mobile devices to buy, sell, shop, find local businesses, and share their retail experiences with friends and acquaintances and prospects every day. Through cloud computing allows businesses large and small to move some of their operations to third-party servers accessible via internet. Not only does this allow for rapid data mobility, but does so without the fear of any crash, any security problems, or any permanently losing the data. Through extreme customer segmentation, with the flow of more and more data, it is easier now than ever before to understand the customers you're looking for. Even a simple Google account will let you know where your visitors are from, what type of browser they're using, how they found your website, what they do while on it, how long they stay, and at which point they decided to leave. And through connectivity, a lot can be told about connectivity. From the historic mainframes to the distribution computing using LANs, WANs, local area networking, wide area networking, virtual private networks, and of course, with the advent of internet, connectivity has changed drastically the connectivity. We had seen the successful transformation from offline to online classes during COVID-19 using tools like Microsoft Teams, Cisco's WebEx, and Zoom. What can we say about this connectivity other than this itself has got an opportunity for all of us to use the technology, converting the crisis into an opportunity during COVID. Then comes social impact. The rise of social networking has figuratively shrunk the world, and now users can connect without regard to geographical obstacles, financial background, or even social status. So all these things are a result of Industry 4.0 revolution. Then if 4.0 revolution is responsible for these technological changes, then what about the previous ones? Let's just take a brief review of that. The first industrial revolution began in the 18th century with the use of steam power. Steam power has introduced radical changes in the transportation and the powerful locomotive that has helped the businesses a great deal. The second industrial revolution is equally important. We all know Henry Ford, whose Model T became the most sensational innovation mankind had ever seen. He took the idea of mass production from a slaughterhouse in Chicago. Slaughterhouse, the pigs hung from conveyor belts, and each butcher performed only a part of the task of butchering the animal. Henry Ford carried over these principles into automobile production. What was done before in the form of assembly of the entire automobile at one place, now the vehicles were produced in partial steps on the conveyor belt, significantly faster and at lower cost. And then came the third industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution began in the 70s and in the 20th century through partial automation and memory programmable controls and computers. And this has introduced for the first time robots for their production processes, replacing a lot of manpower. Then came the fourth industrial revolution, which has caught all the businesses by storm. And this is the application of information and communication technologies to industry, and also known as Industry 4.0. And this uses the entire computer technology. In short, Industry 4.0 is a game changer across industrial settings. The digitalization of businesses will change the way that goods are made and distributed. And what is digitalization? Digitalization is a profound transformation of businesses involving the use of digital technologies to optimize business processes, improve the company's productivity, and improve the experience with customers. One of the primary digitization steps is the satisfaction of consumer needs. So with that, Industry 4.0 revolution has brought in lots of changes, and it has really affected the businesses. Now to wrap it up, the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs study predicts that 5 million jobs will be lost before the next 2 to 3 years as artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, and other socio-economic factors replace the need for human workers. But at the same time, it also predicted that 2.1 million jobs will be created in the new specialized area such as computing, mathematics, architecture, and engineering. The new jobs created require a different skill sets. Therefore, it becomes of the utmost importance to prepare future generations to thrive on the changing tech landscape. And this leads to what is known as STEM integration or STEM education. STEM education is an effort to combine some or all of the 4 disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics into one class, unit, or lesson that is based on connections between the subjects and the real world problems. Not to go deep into the STEM education because of the shortage of time, I would only say that in order to leverage the full potential of opportunities created by advanced technology, we need a similar revolution in education as well. There is a need to develop education 4.0 along with the technology 4.0 for students to meet the changing demands of the industry, combining the futuristic subjects with the traditional ones and imparting a skill-based curriculum crucial to success in today's environment. So from all this, it is apparent that technology impacts industry and in turn economy. Therefore, a symbiotic relationship exists between the three, as I said in the beginning of my speech. Putting it figuratively, technology, industry, and economy. I repeat, technology, industry, and economy represent three sides of an equilateral triangle, which we all know about the characteristics, and that speaks for itself. For economy to thrive, there should be synergy between technology and industry. So let's prepare for the challenge technology poses to industry and of course, in turn to economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Prasada Rao, for welcome address. Sir, your thought-provoking address has set the platform for today's event. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
The most awaited moment is here. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the esteemed panelists to the August gathering. Our first panelist for today is Mr. Arijit Datta, President and Business Head, Uno Minda Group. Mr. Arijit Datta is a mechanical engineer from Jadavpur University and MBA from Exilari Jamshedpur. He has more than 30 years of experience in the automobile industry across various functions like plant operations, purchase, supply chain, vendor development, sales and marketing, and aftermarket operations. He has his illustrious spell with Tata Motors, Cummins India, Mahindra and Mahindra. At Tata Auto Systems, he was deputed as the CEO of the Tata Green Batteries. Under his leadership, Tata Green Batteries plant has become a benchmark for EHS practices amongst all battery manufacturers in the country. He's a great turnaround strategist and also a passionate teacher who's associated with a number of business schools. We are delighted with your presence, sir. I request Mr. Arijit Datta to share his opening remark.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Swati, for this wonderful introduction. I am also Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Rao, Mr. Umachand Ramchandra, all students of AGB, and the teachers and staff. I would my extreme gratitude for giving us this opportunity for being part of the esteemed panel and such a luminous business school for delivering this lecture. So it's a wonderful topic which you people have chosen, and it's really a thought-provoking one, and also very, very contextual. About Mr. Rao's initial, initial message about technology, which he spoke about, which is a key criteria in, in the post-pandemic era, and also about, the growth, our journey towards 5 trillion economy. See, I mean, as you all know, the Indian economy, and I would mostly talk in context to the automobile sector, for which I have worked for 30 years. The Indian economy just before pandemic was in a very, very fragile state. I know the drivers of both the investment and the demand side were actually having problems just before the pandemic also, if you look at 1920, 18, 19, there were structural issues in the economy and we were not doing so well. Of course, the background was that we had taken some very big changes in the form of GST and all that, which was, structural reforms, which were also impacting the overall business. Now, when suddenly the pandemic fell upon us and we saw the Q1 growth coming down by 24%, and we were all wondering what would happen to the world. And then slowly, as the economy started, opening up, we came into the new normal. We entered the age of new normals where a lot of changes, mostly driven by technology, has come. Now, when we entered this post-pandemic area, initially we saw disruptions happening both from the supply side and also from the demand side. In both these cases, we never imagined that such changes would happen so rapidly. So one is the technological change, which was already there because, the automobile industry and our economy, for that matter, was going through a lot of changes. In case of automobile industry, there are changes in terms of environmental requirements. We were transforming to BS4. We are actually leaping from BS4 to BS6. Secondly, there were a lot of changes in terms of, statutory changes, like the safety features of the car were being enhanced. Today only morning, there was a directive of using 3-point seat belts. So a lot of features like, airbags and all these, the safety statutory requirements were also coming into force, which was also bringing in a lot of technological changes in the automobiles per se. So the industry was already struggling to meet the supply side issues of these changes, which I was talking. And at the same time, there was a lot of changes which were there happening in the demand side. And to overall, at a macro level, you see, we were transforming from IC engines to EV sector. So that was itself a very, very big change in technology. So as we stepped out of the pandemic and life started coming to normal, as I said, we faced a lot of issues from the demand side, as well as a lot of changes, I would say, a lot of changes from the supply side, as well as the demand side. In the demand side, what we witnessed is a complete change, which was, change of paradigm, which was earlier there. Earlier, when, in order to reduce, in order to contribute to the environment, people were talking about public transport. Emission reduction was one of the main themes. And so people were talking about growth of public transport, less usage of personal cars. And now when we stepped out of the pandemic, we suddenly found that the demand for personal cars has increased because people are afraid to travel now in public transport. Most of the cases, public transports were closed. So there was a huge demand in cars, which nobody expected. And also not only demand in the cars, but people saw a change in demand. Earlier in India, we used to be a big market for micro cars like Maruti Suzuki's, Altos and Wagoners. The demand shifted to bigger cars like Cretas and the SUV kind of cars. So there was a huge migration which happened, which nobody expected. So this was a very big change in the demand side. So there was a demand for cars, mainly focused on SUVs, for which the supply was not ready. The manufacturers were not really ready. So now, from the supply side, we had a lot of disruption suddenly coming in, because now the electronics of the car having been increased to a large extent, we found that there was a huge demand in increase in the chips. And suddenly, the production, although there is a huge demand for cars, the production faced a lot of constraints because of chip shortages. So it's a very, very, it's a very, very delicate situation which we face the issues both in the supply side and also some changes in the demand side. On supply side also, we face that, there were a lot of supply chain disruptions, like, when we are importing components, the availability of, transport and freight, sea freight was a very big problem. The lead times and the cost both escalated, along with a lot of increase in commodity prices. So the whole economy suddenly, along with the industry, faced a lot of challenges which never people actually expected. And then as the challenges started coming, the industry started solving all of these problems along with the help of the government. So government also understood all these, challenges which the industry was facing, and slowly, a lot of good steps were taken to, to come out of this problem. So our dependence on supply chain on China and some other countries has forced us to think more bigger in terms of made in India. So therefore, we saw the advent of the PLI scheme. For the automobile sector, the government, although the PLI scheme was directed for 13 sectors, automobile sector was, one of the key beneficiaries of the PLI scheme. And a total, outlay of 25,938 crores was granted by government for the automobile sector, for the PLI scheme. And there are like 20 organizations, 20 manufacturers we actually qualified to make this transition of technology, manufacturing of chips or other new components which would be required to transform the entire automobile industry, which was already laid down. So secondly, this is one big transformation which happened, which will help us to, to face these current challenges and for the growth of the automobile industry, which would come in the coming years. So adapting to the changes, this amount of, contribution by the government was a very key factor. Secondly, one of the biggest transformation would be in transforming our, IC engines, the diesel and the petrol engines to EV sector. So a lot of changes are required in the automobile in terms of technology to undergo this change. So here again, we realized that if we want to make EVs successful in India, which is very important for us because we are a big importer of oil. So our economy has a lot of constraint because we have to spend a lot of dollars for importing oil. So if we have our own EV ecosystem, then this entire burden of import will go down. And that is where the government has made its interference very, very strong. And they have introduced another PLI scheme, production link incentive scheme for ACC, advanced chemistry sales, for manufacturing batteries, the lithium-ion batteries and the new technology batteries for EVs. And then this year, the outlay for this was very, very high. About 18,100 crore has been outlaid for this. And about 10 companies have got qualified for this. There are 10 manufacturers. The government has given a target of 50 gigawatt of, generation of sales. These 10 companies jointly has bid for about 130 gigawatt. So what we say, I would like, these two are very big examples, like the challenges which we had faced because of pandemic, which has, what we say, the challenges creates opportunities. And this has really opened up opportunities for many manufacturers in India for this big technological leap, both in terms of, upgrading to EVs and also modern cars with all electronics, connected cars, auto drive, autonomous driving, or whatever we call. So all these technological inputs are coming in, and government itself is participating in this. So I'm sure that we have really gone out of the pandemic with a very, very positive note, with a lot of changes which we have seen the industry has faced. And they have converted all these challenges to opportunities. And surely, with all the support of the government and the industry working together, I'm sure that this industry is poised, our economy is poised for a wonderful 5 trillion journey, which I'm sure we'll be able to achieve. So that's the part which I would like to focus from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the thought-provoking insights which you had delivered right away. Now, we'll go to our next speaker for the day. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Ashish Chandra, CEO, MD, Bharti Airtel, Sri Lanka. An experienced CEO with demonstrated history of working across spectrum of telecommunication industry, skilled in business operations and revenue and P&L management, to mention a few. He has exceptional professional career record of setting up new businesses, running successful large-scale operations, implementing change management during mergers and acquisitions in the past 21 years. Mr. Ashish brings with him over 2 decades of rich experience in the Indian telecommunication industry. In the past, he has worked in various leadership roles with India's top telecommunication companies. He holds a degree in mechanical engineering from Malviya National Institute of Technology and did MBA from Podar Institute of Management. He is a key leader with education from IIM Ahmedabad, IMD Business School, Lausanne, and Indian School of Business and National Institute of Technology. I request Mr. Ashish Chandra to please enlighten the August gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Amity Fraternity, for calling me and giving me this opportunity to talk to the young budding entrepreneurs of tomorrow. I'll quickly give you a little perspective about the topic. I think a very relevant topic of post-pandemic recovery in India, because from the last 2 years, all of us are just struggling with this pandemic, and I think everybody, like what I am, very, very eager to come out of this and go back to the track of growth once again. But as I would say, as every hardship that human race has faced, we have always emerged stronger, and so would be the case in this pandemic. And I'm seeing already the silver lining in the cloud, which is now coming up, and I could really see, looking at where I am, that now we are already started our journey towards the recovery phase as far as the pandemic is concerned. So if I really look at about the last 8 quarters or last 2 years of the journey of our economy, especially the telecommunication industry that I represent here, it's been full of ups and downs. And if I really look back, I won't talk about the hardships that all of us have gone through. All of us know, you have read about it in the newspapers, and all of us have seen it. But I would like to talk about the silver lining this entire pandemic thing has brought in, and what is the way forward. So if I really look back, what is one good thing that this pandemic has brought to all of us? That is fast forwarding the digitization journey of the world. In the last 5 years, everybody had been talking about digitization. Everybody had been talking about the digital economy, the technology adoption, AI, ML, 5G, IoT, and so on and so forth. But I believe that most of the people were doing lip service than actually bringing those technology to life. And last 2 years, we have seen a leaps and bound growth in the technology and digitization in this world. So if I really reflect back, the industry or the entire world has moved at least 5 years ahead compared to what we were about a year back. So the fast forward increase that has happened in the digitization of the economy or the digitization of the world is fueled by the pandemic that all of us have seen around. Till about 2 to 3 years back, digitization or digital adoption was good to do thing for the companies, and they were doing it by keeping one chief digital officer who's working in a silo, trying to bring in a little bit of a digitization. And digitization for most of the company used to be nothing but automation. how can you convert a manual thing into an automatic thing? And that is what a digitization for most of the companies were. But the last 2 years, the digitization was not a good to do thing, but must to do thing to survive in this kind of economy. It was must to do thing for the companies if they wanted to keep serving their customers by a digital route, by an online route. And it was must to do for even the consumers like you and me, who wanted to fulfill their desires and who wanted to fulfill their wants, which was required in these two years. So everybody have realized over a period of time that it is impossible to survive in this time without getting digital or getting digitally onboarded. Now, what has that brought to the industry or to the economy? What it means is a change in the business model. The change in the business model, which it has brought in change in most of the industries. If you talk about, and I heard Mr. Datta talking about some time back on the similar aspects. Most of the industries have faced challenges during this last 2 years, and everybody was forced to think that how can they serve their customer better, how can they serve their customer faster, and how can they reduce their cost so that they keep surviving during this pandemic time. So this was virtually like last 2 years, all of us were operating in a business contingency planning kind of a scenario. The business models have changed, business models are evolved. There are 4 big trends that I see, which has happened in the last 2 years. Most of the business have now started reaching direct to the consumers, which means the middleman or the middle layers of value addition, which used to happen, is now being eroded. So the people who are manufacturing try to reach to the consumers directly and want to market their products directly. Second thing which the business model has shifted towards is how can the models become more cost efficient? Because ultimately, when you reach directly to the consumers by adoption of a digital technology, you save cost. You become faster, you become more efficient, and that is how you serve your customer better. Third thing which this entire digitization had brought in to the economy is going beyond the physical geographies of the country. And I think that's the biggest change that this digitization in the last 2 years have brought into all of us. Now, sitting in India, sitting in you guys sitting in Pune, you guys are sitting in Mumbai, you can actually market your product to across the world. So your marketplace is not restricted to the city that you're in, or probably to the state that you're in, or the country that you're in. Now you can market your products all across the world. And that's, I think, is the biggest change, needle shift, which has happened in the last 2 years, where people have now started to look at how can they sell and procure the products or the industry that they're in, and making the world as their marketplace. To give you an example, some of the changes which has far reached, and we have never seen those kind of industry models existing earlier. Look at the industry, which is the digitization of education. Would you have ever imagined 5 years back that your full year of study, your exams and everything will happen while sitting at home? It would have been impossible if this concept would have been given to anybody. And today we are pretty comfortable doing all these kind of things. Now we are talking about, the government of India is talking about saying we want to launch digital university, where the end-to-end, the person will never ever go to physically to a particular place, will do entire his education degree, which includes your technical degrees and everything online. Digital education is something, I think that's the biggest leap that the economy has seen in the last 2 years. Now, will we stick to that? No, obviously it's not going to be 100% digital, it'll be a hybrid, but this opens up a lot of avenues for students like you to actually explore possibilities across the world. Second big change that I've seen is on the telemedicines. Now, till about 2019, the doctors were not allowed to do consultation online. But with the pandemic coming, we saw the scarcity of the doctors and consultations. The government of India actually made this legal to do an online consultation, and the entire medical fraternity moved to online business. And today, wherever you may be sitting, you can actually consult the best of the doctors without actually traveling to those places or physically wasting your time being in the lines and being in the queues. You can actually do a telemedication, you can do robotic surgeries, and other stuff are also becoming now the realities of tomorrow. Third big thing that I've seen change in the way the economy used to work is the work from home. Now, work from home itself is a big concept. It's not only a freedom to the employees to be able to work from home. There's a lot of economies which are associated with the people working in a corporate sector, or working from home or working from office. Now, if you're working from office, you need air conditioning, you need the entire infrastructure which will serve your food, you need an entire communication system or commuting system which will actually carry you from home to office and back from office to home. So there are a lot of ancillary infrastructure which are required when people work from office versus when people work from home. And this entire shift of people working from home and becoming comfortable, and now a lot of industries saying that they will continue to work from home, not call people back to office. A lot of IT industries already declared, means a lot of change which will happen in the way the economy is going to grow over a period of time. And then a lot of such things that we have seen in the last 2 years, which we have never seen: contactless economies, contactless deliveries, and digitization of multiple aspects of business. Now, technology plays a major role in making this happen. So whether it is the artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, or 5G, all that we talked about, is something which is bringing this come alive. And the first point that I made, that for all this to happen over a period of time, telecommunication plays a big role, and that's the industry that I represent. And we have also seen a huge change happening in our industry in the last 2 years. The demand has changed over a period of time. So earlier, when we used to, till about few years back, most of our daytime consumption used to happen from the corporate areas, which is where the offices used to be. And the nighttime consumption used to be in the residential sector, because everybody in the night used to be in the residential areas. In last 2 years, that entire pattern has changed, because now most of the people are working from home. So suddenly there is a requirement of capacity which is required in the residential sector. So a lot of demand changes which has happened over a period of time, which needed the telecommunication industry to completely revamp its model. Similarly, most of the people were consuming our products, while it is a digital product that they were consuming, but this was happening through an offline channel, which is like typically people used to walk into the market, used to buy the cards or phones and other stuff, and used to run their businesses. Now, suddenly with the pandemic coming and lockdowns happening, most of the people moved to digital channel, and digitization of our entire processes, your customer services to the sales channel, to any channel that you think of, collection of money, everything moved to digital. So a lot of digitization is something which has happened within the industry as far as telecommunication, and telecommunication industry supported other industries to help them digitize. So that's where a telecommunication industry played a major role in moving this needle of digitization in the country. Now, I genuinely believe that India is completely poised at this particular time to walk into the next phase of post-pandemic recovery. And the reason why I believe is because this digitization push, which has happened in the last 4 to 5 years, will move the entire world towards the digital economy. Now, there are few factors where India is very well poised. The first thing is we are the hub of the IT industry in the world, and IT industry will always be the backbone for any digitization which will happen, or the digital economy to build on. And that's where I think India scores very well. We are the startup capitals of the world. Most of the startups are now happening in India or around the ecosystem that India has. And I think that will bring in a lot of innovation and disruption in the way the economy is growing. And we are absolutely well poised to make a mark in the startup ecosystem in the world. Third thing is that the entire socio-economic condition in India is changing fast. So compared to what I see now, and if I compare it to 10 years back, the economic affordability in India has grown many folds. The education penetration is much higher. People are much more educated and much more ready to be entrepreneurial and risk taking. So the entire socio-economic ecosystem in India is changing fast, and it is absolutely in line with what is required to take India to the next, or maybe towards a 5 trillion economy that we are talking about. And then the recent changing in the geopolitical situations, with most of the world becoming not so pro to China and trying to look at alternatives, that what could be the best alternative to China, and India comes pretty high on as an alternative to what the China has to offer to the world. And I think with the fourth industrial revolution coming, I think if there is any one country which is absolutely poised to take that plunge, I think that's India. And telecommunication as an industry, as the industry which I represent, is helping India move towards that path. And a lot of things that we are doing, just to give you a glimpse of things that the telecommunication industry is now doing. Because today, if there's any one industry which touches the life of maximum citizen in the country, that's telecommunication. And it is the gateway to every citizen in the world today. So the kind of technology that we are bringing together, so all the technology that I talked about, AI, ML, AR, VR, IoT, rides on the backbone of telecommunication. So if there's a telecommunication infrastructure which does not exist, or the communication media or the communication vehicle of all these technology to the citizens and to the industry will be the telecommunication. And going forward with the launch of 5G, which is going to be very soon, you will be seeing that happening. It's happening across the world. Nearly now about more than 60 countries have launched 5G. We are also in a preparation in South Asia to launch 5G into multiple countries. And that is something which is going to make the industry take a big leap towards technology adoption in the last mile. So I think with that, I would like to end my 2 bits on this. I definitely believe, and I have full confidence that India is absolutely poised to make its march towards the 5 trillion economy sooner than you and I can imagine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the knowledge you shared with us in this platform. Right now, we have been listening to both Arjit Datta, sir, as well as Ashish Chandra, sir, speaking on 2 different industries. A lot of perspectives have been shared here. So let's have a round of applause for both the speakers. I take this opportunity to invite a 3rd guest, Mr. Madhu S. Nair, Chairman and Managing Director of Cochin Shipyard since January 2016. Under his leadership, CSL has become a listed company after a very successful IPO. His major accomplishment includes setting up of 6 new ventures for Cochin Shipyard, including the ship repair yards in Kochi, Mumbai, and Port Blair, and units for manufacturing small and medium naval vessels. He holds a master's in engineering, naval architecture and ocean engineering from Osaka University, Japan, and BTech in naval architecture and shipbuilding from Cochin University of Science and Technology. He has also received existing specialized training in shipbuilding systems from Japan. He is a member of various professional bodies, including the Royal Institution of Naval Architects, UK, Institution of Naval Architects, India, and he is a member of Board of Studies at Cochin University of Science and Technology. He is also the president of Indo-Japan Chamber of Commerce, Kerala. I request Mr. Madhu S. Nair to deliver the opening remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind introduction. And thanks to the Vice Chancellor, professors of Amity Business School for having me here. A very interesting topic. We're talking about the post-pandemic recovery and the march towards a potential $5 trillion economy. And bits from the auto sector and from the telecom sector. And Dr. Rao touched upon technology, which again, like somebody like me in the technology space, this is one key driver which we all see today. How technology is impacting human lives. This is actually the key of whatever we are talking. But let us just pause, just go back pre-pandemic and take a look at where the world was and where India was. After years of sustained high growth, India as a country, from an economic point of view, had slowed down a little bit, or let's say, as is the case with any growth patterns, you grow sharply, you a little bit plateau, and then you wait for the next jump. I think that's, you look at any upward going graphs, classic examples would be the stock markets, spread over, let's say, 30, 40 years, you will see this going up, high scale growths, plateauing, dipping a little bit, and then pumping up again. Now, we were around this 4.5% growth rate pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic let loose on us all over the world. Like the rest of the world, we were also shaken, and shaken to the core. Let's put it very clearly, shaken to the core. In fact, the world didn't know how to react. I thought India also, the initial stages, we probably didn't know how to react. But in hindsight, when you look at it, probably we had many of the basics already in place. As was mentioned by the previous two whole technological onslaught we are witnessing today. this digitalization, this digital thought process, as we are very clearly saying, like people like me, in my mid-50s, we are all migrants into this digital world. Let's be very, very clear. But we were talking about a generation which are actually the netizens, or which are actually who are people who are born in this digital world and who are wired differently. They think differently. See, for us, as my earlier speaker had said, it was about computerizing something or automating something. But when digital 4.0 in the industry came in, it was not about computerizing or it was not about automation. It was about rewiring your thoughts. And as we all know, the human brain is a different kind of, at the end of the day, I'm not getting into it, but then you think in a particular line, you get hardwired in that particular line. And this hardwiring had actually happened in the generation which we are seeing. Let's say that the 20-year-olds of today, they are hardwired very differently from people like me. But pre-pandemic, we had already there. Knowingly or unknowingly, good or bad, not getting into the politics of it, we had a formalization of the economy happening. We are done the demonetization. I'm not getting into whether it was right, wrong, or what was the effects, but that's why I use knowingly or unknowingly, the formalization of the economy had started. We need to go all the way back into, my previous speaker was talking about telecom and its contributions to the Indian sector. I go all the way back to FC Kohli and the founding of the Tata Consulting Services. I thank Nandan Nilekani for his Aadhaar, and with the JAM Trinity, as we call it, the Jan Dhan accounts, credit to the present government, the Aadhaar, and the mobile. So the JAM Trinity was in place. The JAM Trinity would have taken us forward, but COVID came in and we got stuck. But for the JAM Trinity, we would have just got stuck in our tracks. And see how the JAM Trinity has actually taken us forward. We had the formalization of the economy already in place. We had the digitally wired generation in our midst. We had the JAM Trinity in place, and you had a block in front of you. You had to fly on top of that block, and we did actually fly. In fact, this country with 1/6 of the world population did actually fly. People thought we would actually be stopped on our tracks, but we could actually fly. But we were also aided by certain other things which are global in nature. And this is actually the key concept of sustainability. We in India, from a traditional wisdom, we always are the people who have actually talked Logo Sugino Bhavantu. For the entire world, we have been talking, and not just for humankind, we have been talking for nature, we have been talking for the animals, we have been talking for sustainability. Sustainability has been our blood. But due to a set of reasons, when things have changed, we probably got a little bit away from it. We needed to see what was happening in developed countries like Italy, who really didn't know what to do. We were shocked to see what was happening in the United States. And suddenly we saw that human behavior also learns a lot from such disasters. That human behavioral change, which we actually saw. So that whole facet of sustainability. Today, this entire world is now talking about sustainability. And I am a key believer. One part I said was all the technology part, the enabling by digitalization, the digital thought process, not the digitally wired generation. The whole way we were re-looking at sustainability. And since I can see like there are a lot of students here, somebody like David Attenborough today, 94 years of age, his movie, The World We Live In, this caught the attention of people. But David Attenborough has been here. He's 94 years, he has been here, but people did not probably pay too much attention to him. But suddenly we realized that it's not the money we have, it's not the strength of a country we have. We suddenly saw that something else is needed, human life. The United Nations Development Plans, UNDP goals, as they say, the 17 UNDP goals, right from poverty alleviation, affordable, clean sanitation, clean water kind of things. The world started paying much more attention. So human behavior, technology, digitalization, the feel for such softer things in life, along with what we actually saw, something slightly different during that term. And let us try to understand how negatives can actually bring out positives. Did we see somebody going and helping Italy with the vaccines? We didn't see anybody. We saw people hoarding vaccines. We saw vaccines going to a particular country, the ships getting diverted to another country, which talks to be the leader of the democratic world. But we saw that. We saw European Union talking as one world, free country, Schengen visas, traveling, and suddenly all the borders were closed. We didn't see great affinity between so-called neighbors, like if Italy had to get something from Spain or from Germany or from Austria. Did we see that? At least in the initial phases, we didn't see it. Now, the world had this. The world had a premonition of this. We were all talking about the global world, world, one global thing. We were talking about WTO, how things should cross. And suddenly, as they say, you scratch and you find the beast in a man. I think we found the beast in humankind a little bit. We saw that we are a little bit more clannish. As countries, we found that we are a bit more clannish. And suddenly we realized for everything we have to depend on China. If India used to be saying that we are the pharmaceutical powerhouse of the world, but suddenly we realize that we don't have the APIs here. The APIs have to come from China. We may have the finest pharmaceutical establishments, but we got stuck again in our tracks. So if you just reel this out, you can see a story there. The story is India as a country, we were ready. We were not ready for the pandemic. We were ready to move forward. We had the basics. We saw how the world behaved. We saw how clannish the world was looking at. And suddenly we banked back. We looked at the 1/6 of the world population. We realized that you have to, and then I thought it's been a classic case of how we have actually come back. The most important aspects, as we see, I think it's your COVID portal and the way we have actually administered the vaccinations. Do we have anything similar in the world? Do we have such a fine digital platform versus somebody going up a hillock to administer the vaccine together happening? Our Aadhaar as an embedded track and the digital platform, we have created magic, isn't it? We have done magic. And whom have we protected? We have protected the world. We actually protected the world. So actually the whole thought process, I thought we as a country also, and probably I felt that we had one more whammy in it, which again, I thought came in much more positive. When the world was going through COVID difficulties and we were also struggling, we got an added whammy in the form of a Galvan episode. I thought the Galvan episode, while extremely sorry for the loss of lives of the brave soldiers who have protected our country, it has galvanized this entire country into a different era. We have suddenly realized that, and this is not about the government. I have been in the government space for last 34 years, but I've seen people like, let's say Sajjan Jindal today coming out and saying that we will actually produce in India. My previous speaker was talking about Make in India, and suddenly we coined the word Atmanirbhar Bharat. And this again cut a cord across us. So pandemic-induced difficulties has created a platform, has created a thinking. Certain harsh realities in our neighborhood has reinforced it. And I think we have gotten our act generally together. And the way we are recovered, the way we have actually recovered back, FY22 touch and go, 9.5% growth rate. I think this country has actually proven that the resilience is in here. So I feel good about how we have handled the pandemic, how we have actually come to this stage. Just touching upon where we could go, we are talking about the $5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy. In 2019, when we talked that we will go to the $5 trillion economy by, say, FY25, people took it with a pinch of salt. But see, whether it's FY25 or 1 year, that side, this side, see, you need good goals, good targets. You need to capture the imagination of your countrymen, and you need to believe in something to actually move in that direction. I strongly feel a lot of things that's being done in this country today. And again, the auto sector talked about the PLI schemes in the auto sector. We have the last two budgets, the most recent budget on the first of this month, emphasizing on the core principles. We are not just talking any longer. We are actually talking about core values and the core investments. See, as a country, no country can move forward without that core focus. We can't just talk about money. It doesn't come in. People like Nawaz Miran would say money wouldn't just come in like that. Wealth is created, and wealth is created within the society. And for this, there are a lot of things that needs to be done. And a few of those, when you look at budgets and when what the finance minister talks, she actually echoes India. She echoes India because the principles being talked today, what are these? Inclusive development. We can have our difference of opinion. We can debate these topics, but inclusive development, productivity enhancement. We are talking about Industry 4.0 and the human mind coming together. We're talking about energy transition. We are aligning ourselves with the UNDP goals. And we are talking about climate action. We are going back to our roots and aligning with the rest of the world. Now, these things we are today transforming into core investments in infrastructure. Today, I'm part of this, and I know exactly the sense in which it is going. We are talking about the Pradhan Mantri Gati Shakti, the speed and the Shakti, Gati and the Shakti. And what are we going to create? Mind you, I think we need to watch this space. We are creating one of the greatest digital platforms in the world, which will actually integrate various 7 pillars of the infrastructure space. We are unleashing the animal instincts in this country, in the economy. This, along with our young population, 60% of our population below the age of 25, 26, and the expertise which we have generated in this country, the kind of confidence with which this country is today talking, I feel extremely good that $5 trillion economy for sure we will attain, whether it is FY25, 26 or 27. Yes, we may have to watch that space a little bit more, but I think we have made the best out of a very, very difficult scenario. In fact, we have done much more than that. Today, we are sitting on a Zoom platform. As was said, would we imagine we would have sat on a platform like this? And what is a Zoom platform? 2012, when the platform was invented, nobody ever knew it. 2016, when the platform went public, the market cap was about a 4-5 billion USD. It has actually zoomed all the way up to almost a 100 billion USD market cap, and today around a 40-50 billion USD. Today, if you have a Baiju from Kerala doing great with Baijus, or we are having about a 50 unicorns coming out of India, I think better watch for India and how we move forward into the future. That's to start from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir, for your stimulating speech. And I'm sure our audience would be waiting to interact with you further. Let's have a round of applause for sir. Next, we have with us Mr. Nawaz Miran, CEO of Eastern Condiments Private Limited. Mr. Miran has over 30 years of experience, and his distinct entrepreneurial talent, coupled with his hard work and persistence, has contributed substantially to the growth of the company to its present stature. Through his leadership, the business of Eastern has gained global presence and its growth in the international business continues to soar. Besides Eastern Condiments, he is also the chairman of the Miran Group. The group has varied business interests in thread rubber, rubberized coir, mattresses, education, real estate, tea, and so on. Despite his demanding schedules to nurture the family business, he has cultivated an unparalleled commitment towards social responsibility in wide range of facets. The group also makes angel and private equity investment to the new age and tech-enabled startups across industries. Mr. Mira is a past chairman of Confederation of Indian Industry, Southern Region. I invite the business tycoon for your opening remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the kind words. In fact, a lot has been talked about the pandemic and related issues. I strongly believe that we have some sort of a jugaad inbuilt in Indian blood. Whatever goes wrong, we come back very, very fast, and I strongly believe in our potential for greater achievement. As you all know, we are one of the top economies in the world. We are, as of now, if I'm not mistaken, fifth. But if you look at first and second, China is second, and they are 5 times bigger than us. For me, what I have seen in the last 20 years in Indian industry and in Indian economy is that much has been talked about, digitization and related issues. Some said it was good and some said it was not. It has impacted the economy. But I am a strong believer of formal economy. After the demonetization, a lot has happened as far as we moving from informal economy to formal economy, and it also brought in openness. Some sort of transparency in the way business started looking at it. If you look at the industries also, many of the industries have started from running it just for making money. Industries have turned towards being more ethical and more innovative, and they've started acting with the publicly spirited business, giving back to society, growing with the society. That sort of an openness and openness was very, very visible. And from the government side also, government started bringing in reforms. If you look at the welfare initiatives in the last budget also, the welfare initiatives that has been brought in was, it actually, takes care of that inclusive growth. And that inclusive growth is what is going to take us to the next level. If I may talk about some of the challenges we might face on moving to a 5 trillion economy, is that we have grown. If you look at the last one decade, we were growing at 6 to 7%. And what will take us to that 5 trillion? Take us to 5 trillion, we have to grow at 9 to say 10% GDP growth. And now the second challenge which I feel is that the quality of jobs. When I talk about employment, I always talk about the quality of jobs. More people moving from the contract labors and contract labor format to getting into a very, very formal industrial scenario will help improve the quality of job. Not just that, it will also improve the social security so that there is no divide between the citizens in the country. The third challenge, I could say that, as of now, we have 15% of GDP as far as manufacturing is concerned. But a lot of initiatives has been brought in by the government. by way of initiatives as far as improving the use of business. So which this has to from 15% our GDP, the share of GDP as far as manufacturing is concerned has to move to 25%. That is the third challenge which we will have to address. And what drives it? When we talk about Atmanirbhar, linked with PLI, performance linked incentives, the government has paved way for people to import or bring in the right machineries, which will increase the productivity. But at the same time, we are in a position to come out with products that makes us internationally competitive and technologically on a higher platform. These are some of the things which can help us as far as manufacturing is concerned. We talked about Industry 4.0. We talked about, in fact, I had a chance to be in Sweden, where ABB, one of the world's largest robotic company, which manufactures robots. Now the robot thing has come to cobot, where it is again getting aligned with machine learning and artificial intelligence, wherein it is almost getting closer to human behavior. So that sort of a change is happening. Of course, some of the some of the issues which can come up is that for some time we might lose a bit of job, but then eventually, once we become internationally competitive, the entire world is in front of us. So that's what I feel. Another thing which I have seen where improvement is required is in-house R&D allocation by the companies. I've seen many of the companies which doesn't have any sort of amount allocated for research and development. As I said, to improve the easiness of life, there are a lot of things which can be developed in India, which will actually help the Indian condition. I'm not talking about the export, international market. Indian conditions can be developed through the small sort of research and development, and especially on the design side of it. Many of the small-time machine manufacturers for the last 20 years or 25 years make the same sort of machine without not even bringing in 1% improvement into the designs and the manufacturing behavior which they keep in mind. Another area which I thought that required a lot of importance is the quality of higher education. We talked about digitization, we talked about digital university coming in. I have a strong feeling that I completely compliment Ashish when he talked about this digitization process. We are all lucky enough sitting at our residence. We are able to partake in such a conference, and I also compliment Mr. Madhu on saying that the wiring is different for the new generation. That's absolutely true, because I know that it takes less than 50% of the time for a youngster to finish a job, which we used to take, say, if it is 1 hour, they used to get it done within, say, 15 to 30 minutes. It's basically because they are more inclined towards technology. They're happy to use technology to make sure that they reach the end objective. Another area is culture. In fact, in a country like India, as we all know, we are the largest democracy. Building unity in diversity is what can keep us together and take us to the next level. For that, politicians will have to have an open mind, and they need to truly respect the democratic situation which actually we need for the country. When we work with CI, when I work with CI closely, some of the things which we thought that I was actually in the National Council when this code of conduct for running industry came up. So it's basically, to ethically run business. That was the idea behind it. And the first thing which we talked about was, of the accurate books and records. So that's why I said earlier, when business becomes more formal, this accuracy of books and records will be in place. Then the advantage is that, then government will get more taxes, government will be able to spend more for the welfare of the society, and that actually helps us in taking our country into the next level. And second thing was bribery and corruption. I'm now we have aligned with a multinational company. The first thing what they say is that there is no bribery, no corruption. So the cost of governance will go up, but that is not an issue. Let the cost of governance go up, but end of the day, you have to create a scenario where bribery and corruption is not at all encouraged. And we need to be fair and equitable. In our organization, people who are heading 250 crores, 500 crores, these sort of businesses are headed by women. We need to be fair and equitable in treating people within the organization, even it is gender or caste or creed or whatever it is. We have to be fair on it. And EHS, employee health and safety. It requires a lot of. If you look at some of the factories which operate in rural area, we feel sad that the conditions are too bad. But we need to put in effort to make sure that the health of people contributing to the growth of organization has to be of prime importance. And then, of course, without the quality of goods and services that you offer to the end consumer, we will never be able to reach anywhere. So these are some of the code of conduct which we discussed, and it has been written and placed in CII. So what I'm saying is, going forward, we as a country, everything is getting in place. As Ashish said rightly, we are the startup hub in the world. A lot of scalable companies are coming in. Some of the services that is being offered, that's not just for the country alone. It can be sold and serviced throughout the world. So money is coming in. If it was earlier, if UK and if Britain had ruled other countries, now what is happening? Google and Microsoft, they get AMCs and stuff like that. Money is going back to US. So initiatives can be brought in wherein money can actually start coming into India. I'm pretty sure, and I'm hopeful, I'm very, very confident that we as a country will be able to get to the next level of not just 5 trillion and walk much beyond that. Thank you very much for the time.
That was indeed a very stimulating speech, Nawaz sir, and I'm very much sure like students who are watching you over here would be inspired by your inputs which you had given right now. So let's have a round of applause for Nawaz sir. Over to you, Swati ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very, very important announcement to make. We are extremely blessed and fortunate to have with us our mentor and living inspiration, Mr. U. Ramachandran sir, Senior Vice President, Amity Education Group. Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion. Can we have a huge round of applause for Rama sir?
I think that is absolutely enough.
Swati ma'am, you're going to call Rao sir to introduce Rama sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dr.
Rao sir.
Sir, warm welcome to you, sir. This is Dr. Rao.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Mr. U. Ramachandran has over 3 decades of successful and diverse experience in strategic management, academics, administration, marketing, and communication with world-class institutions and corporate players. Having a rich and successful stint with some of the top companies, Mr. Ramachandran joined the Amity Education Group in the year 2003. He has been a part of the strategic management group attached to the President's office for envisioning expansion for the institution building. A seasoned professional, well-articulated and well-traveled, with great exposure of quality standards in education and research, he has been instrumental in establishing 13 Amity Global Business Schools, AGBS campuses, we call them, across India in the year 2008 to 2009. He has also been instrumental in establishing and leading more than 61 Amity Information Centers across India. Under his leadership, strategic vision, Amity has undergone significant transformation and expanding its horizons to set benchmarks in quality education across India. He has been a catalyst towards setting up the establishment of Amity universities at Kolkata, Ranchi, and Bihar. And the latest feather in his cap is the establishment of Amity University, Mohali. On behalf of all of us here, let me extend a warm welcome to our beloved and respected Ramaji.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Thank you so much. Again, within no time, the second leadership series happening today. Getting call from Dr. Abhirajita, Dr. Preeti. So I try to come in for some time. I would like to congratulate both Amity Global Business School, Pune, and Amity Global Business School, Cochin. Both these campuses were established in 120 days' time in 2009. And I'm so very happy, both the head of institutions, directors and team members, they are still with us from day one. A lot of hard work by the head of institutions. I would put it in a way that hardworking head of institutions of Amity Global Business School campuses. We are into education over the last 3 decades, since 1991. But then the idea of Amity Global Business School campuses, the vision of this AGBS campuses was truly the initiative of our Honorable President, Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir, to fulfill the vision of our founder President, Dr. Ashok Chauhan. I'm sure many our esteemed corporate leaders are aware of our group. But when I'm representing this Amity family, though we are institutions and universities, what we will call it, our institution and university as one family, that is Amity family, created by our Honorable Founder President Dr. Ashok Chauhan, sir. In 1991, when we started a school in Saket, our founder president, his vision was that we will have so many universities and schools and colleges. It was so very difficult for the people to believe that we will reach to this level and this height. Now looking back over the last 3 decades, this is for the information of the esteemed industry leaders. I'm sure many of our management students or engineering students might be working in your esteemed organizations. But when I joined in 2003, we were not having any universities, in fact. And now over the last 15 years, definitely, I'm sure you will not find any group having so many universities. That is only you'll find Amity Education Group with 11 universities. The reason one, Dr. Rao was saying Mohali, which we launched last year itself during COVID. And especially this particular topic also, post-pandemic economic recovery. I'm seeing it. So everyone is waiting when we can actually say that post-pandemic. So we have 1,75,000 students and 6,000 faculty members. We are the leaders in education sector over the last 3 decades. When I'm saying we are leaders, 2.5-year-old kid going to the school, to the pre-nursery, and to the primary education, high school education, UG, PG, then PhD and postdoctoral. And we call it as we are doing a great job of nation building. However, even I spent around 20 years with this group and going on, and then our plan is to go to each and every state and establish universities. And the reason for establishing these Amity Global Business School campuses, because our campuses are more in North India, but we thought of students all the way coming from Cochin, Chennai, Pune, why we should not go and provide education in those particular states and cities. And I'm so very proud. This particular program we are organizing with the support of 10 Amity Global Business School campuses across India. We have 4,000 students, 10 head of institutions, and very, very dedicated faculty members like Dr. Swati and Dr. Shamsi from Cochin and Pune. Now this pandemic taught, we used to do a lot of corporate meet, industry interaction. You used to invite, we used to go to the airport and fly from here and then coming to the campus, running and attending. But this pandemic has taught us, wherever you are, you can do anything and everything. And when this pandemic started in 2019 in Wuhan, and when the first case was detected, if I'm not wrong, on 27th of January 2020, in a district called Trichur, a 20-year-old female student was infected, according to me. So we are into COVID over the last 2 years and 15 days approximately. But even in a way, other industries face problem. When the lockdown took place in the month of March 2020, when the first case came, we were thinking what to do. The IT industries can do their work online, but what about education? How you will be able to teach a student of 2.5-year-old? But then our founder, president, we were preparing, and in 2 months' time, with the anticipation that we might have to go online education, the IT infrastructure was kept ready. Almost from next day, we took off, especially teaching the young students, and the students were not ready and they were having a lot of problem with the internet not available at home and supporting them. And teachers, many teachers were not trained to take the classes. But still also, when we are saying that we are physically planning to open the campuses, some students say we are still scared of coming. So a lot of challenges in each and every sector which have been happening. But then we always tell our management students, those who are listening this particular part of this lecture series, it is the suggestion from my side also, and from the leaders and from our head of institutions. Any problem comes to you, and this was kind of extraordinary and unexpected pandemic. We need to face such challenges. When we face such issues and challenges and go on sorting it out. Earlier, we used to hear that flood happened in Assam, so everyone was saying it has happened in Assam. Something happened in China, so everyone was saying it has happened there. Now it is across the globe. It is going on. So we have to face these challenges of whatever, attending the classes, the placement, but even in our case, we did not stop. We have established a university and we have started 2 new schools. Even parents ask, how do you start school? And we have done the orientation through online. So our management, I would like to seek their blessings, the blessings of our founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, sir, who has a dream that everything is possible, nothing is impossible. And the great leadership of our President Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir, that we will go to each and every state and whatever we could do, anything comes, we will face and we will go on. And we are so very lucky. Why it is happening? Because of the kind of team members we have across India, the great leaders like Dr. Prasada Rao, after 3 decades of spending in education sector, came to Amity and still with Amity. So in Amity, you will find majority of the academicians and leaders are from day one, because we will call it our family as institution, university as one particular family. I would like to convey my sincere thanks on behalf of not only Amity Global Business School campuses, but on behalf of the whole Amity Education Group, on behalf of our founder president and on behalf of our president. My sincere thanks to Sri Ashish Chandraji. I'm sure the team would definitely extend their word of thanks, but for us, without the industries, whether it is telecom or any other industries, without the industries, the educational institutions cannot sustain. What we could do is we can give good education, we can give degrees, and we can make the students successful. But what we would like to hear from the esteemed leaders, that these students from Amity institutions, they are good. And not only we do give degrees, but we always believe in full of value system. How you can be a best team player, how you can be a honest team member in the organization, how you respect your colleagues, how you respect your bosses, how you respect your parents, how you respect your grandparents. So Amity is totally a different institution. Besides the quality education, foreign language is compulsory. And we try to inculcate all good habits. So I would take this opportunity to welcome and would like to convey sincere thanks to Mr. Ashish Chandraji, the MD and CEO of Airtel Sri Lanka, Mr. Arijit Datta, President and Business Head of Uno India, and Mr. Madhu Nair, CMD, Cochin Shipyard Limited. I happened to visit Cochin Shipyard around 25 years back. The kind of job Cochin Shipyard is doing in the state of Kerala is amazing. And Mr. Nawaz Miran, the chairman of Eastern Condiments Private Limited. And I would like to extend my sincere thanks and sparing your valuable time for Amity Global Business School campuses. Sir, please keep on coming to our Amity Global Business School campuses, whether it is online or offline, and be part of the board of studies or wherever you could do. And we are always highly grateful and thankful for sparing your valuable time, especially today. Getting to the message to my team members. If someone would ask me, I will say maybe 5 minutes I'll come, 10 minutes I'll come, but all these stalwarts, they were, kind of given time to us. Please put the hands together from our team members to all our esteemed leaders joined us today for this second leadership series from across India.
Thank you so much, sir. I request all the eminent panelists to please switch on their camera for a group photograph with sir. Puneetji from IT, if you could have the panelists.
Also, I would like to, give my best wishes to the organizing team, Dr. Abhirajita Dasgupta, Dr. Rajiv Samuel, Dr. Preeti Sani from headquarters, Mr. Anuj Agarwal, Mr. Gopal Krishnan from the CRC team, and the list of MCs always they lead from front. Dr. Swati from Pune, Dr. Shamsi from Kochi, and also other industry guests joined us, not as a speaker, but I'm sure they might be asking certain questions to the leaders. They are from Tata Motors, Universal Consultancy, and we cordially invite each one of you to our any of our campuses. We have 11 universities, and they were giving my introduction. I wanted to tell our team that always please introduce me as a simple and humble person, and without giving much of what I have done. And always I tell our team members and to the students, please do your duties and leave it on God. And whatever it's happening, the leadership series or anything happening, there is a direction from the God to do. And I'm so very lucky that God has connected all these great leaders today on the day of second leadership series. And it is very difficult to take the name of each one of our head of institution, Dr. Venkatamani, I could see, Dr. Samuel, I could see. And let me make it very clear to you, anything what we do, it is happening because of the blessings of the God and blessings of the grandparents, blessings of the parents, and with the teamwork, the great teamwork we have. And because of each one of you are contributing for the nation building, for giving quality education. Let us strengthen and let us provide the education in a way that everyone should say that this is the best place to study. In each and every industry, there are a lot of competitions, and but we believe in doing things best. And once again, congratulations, and we would be doing another 3 lecture series in this month. This is part of strengthening our Amity Global Business School campuses in India. And we are there, especially my message to the industry leaders, anything at any point of time you feel that we could contribute for your organizations. Like I am also heading a separate division called Amity Research Centers, where we have produced more than 3,700 case studies writing about Kingfisher or Tata, or if we could do something for the organization so that our faculty members can write case studies for an individual of your organization, or for a leader of your organization, or for the whole organization, for the group. We are there, as the team members of your organization. So please treat the Amity Education Group as your family members in your organizations, and we are ready to extend anything for the organization. And once again, best wishes to our team of Amity Global Business School campuses in India and abroad, and especially my best wishes to my students. Please learn each and every line what you are hearing from the great leaders today, and try to convert into action, and then planning. And then finally, we always say that we should believe in outcome, but at times it is not only outcome, we should try to get most desired quality outcome during this pandemic time. My best wishes. Thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rama sir, for your kind words and blessings. A true leader is the one who knows the path and guides the right direction, and you are the perfect example of true leadership. Let's have a huge round of applause for Rama sir. Now we are moving towards the most awaited part of the day, the panel discussion. Let us now introduce the moderators of the event, Colonel Dr. Snehavi Sharma and Mr. Biju Vithayathil. It's my privilege to introduce Colonel Dr. Snehavi Sharma, Director General of Amity Global Business School, Pune. He is an alumnus of prestigious National Defense Academy, Pune, and Defense Service Staff College, Wellington. He has served in the Indian Army for 32 glorious years in various command and staff appointments, which include teaching assignment at Army War College, Mahu, Defense Institute of Advanced Technology, Girinagar, Pune, and NDA Kharagwasla, where he was instrumental in development of hundreds of class 12, 17 years old boys into top class military leaders. He is MSc in Strategic Studies from Madras University, MD-PM from Symbiosis Institute, and PhD in International Relations from Pune University. Prior to joining Amity, he served in MITSOM under Pune University as professor and associate director and headed MIT School of Government, the only institute in Asia which prepare participants to join media, social, and political fields.
We have with us Professor Biju Vithayathil, Director, AGBS Kochi, who holds PGDM from prestigious IIM Bangalore and BTech in Instrumentation and Control Engineering from the University of Calicut. He is an active member of CII Higher Education Panel. Prior to joining AGBS Kochi, he was the business head of Reliance Retail and has worked with Crompton Greaves Limited, Modi Xerox Limited, BHEL Industrial Systems Group, FACT Petrochemical Division, and Ion Exchange Finance Limited. He has awards to his credit, which also include winner of the Business Excellence Award from Rashtradeepika for Excellence in Professional Education, presented to him by the Chief Minister of Kerala, Sri Oommen Chandy. May I now invite Sharma sir and Biju sir for moderating the session. Over to you, sir.
Shamsi, I will come for a minute in between.
Yes,
You know,
sir. Yes,
I could not stop myself when I'm seeing Dr. Sharma, one of our very, very senior Director General of Pune, who has really, done a lot of hard work to bring that particular institution in Pune. And Dr. Sharma, we are very proud to have you in our Amity Education Group, especially when we look at Pune, we always look at you, the way you lead, and with full of extraordinary leadership, not only in getting students and academics and placement, student servicing. When it comes to parents and students, even I get at 11:30 mail from you that, sir, this student has problems. So let me take this opportunity, to congratulate you and Professor Biju both for taking this particular initiative to lead from front and to organize this particular event today. Professor Biju, it is 2009, April 1st we met, and you are about to take off from day one. We are so very proud and lucky to have a young director like you from IIM Bangalore and with the engineering degree. And so when I look at each one of you, I could not stop myself again coming back, and we don't hardly meet nowadays. It is almost 1.5, 2 years time that otherwise we used to meet here for convocation and everything. And congratulations once again for taking such initiatives, and I'm sure such leadership series and initiatives would make our Amity Global Business School campuses to the newer heights. Best wishes. Thank you.
So thank you, Rama sir. We all know that you are the prime driver behind this CEO Talk series. So thank you very much for being present here also, despite your heavy schedule.
Thank you, Dr.
So I think I'll shoot the first question to Sri Arjit, because I am a great fan of automobiles. So you are talking about the demand changes in the automobile industry and also supply shortages with respect to chips and so on. So my question is, there's a big waiting line for some of India's topmost car companies like Hyundai and Kia. They wait up to 6 months. So is it because I want to hear from you as an insider, Like, is it because of the chip shortages, or is it because they were betting on certain other models, and now the demand is for SUVs, or the demand has changed, like you were saying, or is it a mix of both?
Thank you, Dr. Biju. I would say that there is, of course, a big shortage for the chips, and also, as you rightly said, there is also a kind of forecasting issue, which has led to the chip shortage.
Okay.
Those two problems are connected. See what has happened. We have seen that the demand has shifted from traditional sedans and to the SUVs and all that. And also, if you see, the demand is for the high, the top range, which are more of ABS and with all the top end models, the demand is high. The premiumization. So there are a lot of changes. Today, when we buy an automobile, we are looking for the top models and there also the amount of electronics is more. The number of chips required, because you have the instrument panel which is digitalized completely. So it's a combination which are interlinked. I would say. Because you never predicted that so much SUVs will be demand, which is also leading to the chip shortage. Other supply chain issues could have been solved. But let me also tell you that the chip crisis is not only a phenomenon in India, it is a global phenomenon. That's why it will take a little more time, maybe 3-4 more quarters to come out of this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please. Sama sir, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the four panel members have covered their initial remarks in such details that have left very little scope for asking any questions. But I have a question specifically related to your sector, Mr. Madhu Nair. Mr. Nair, we all know that infrastructure will have a major role in our growth story. The infrastructure has been given a special boost in the recent past. 70% of India's trade is through sea. In fact, the entire global trade, 70% is through sea. Our existing capacity of shipbuilding, ports, connectivity with main industrial centers, etc., is currently considered inadequate. Now, what are the efforts or other initiatives to boost this infrastructure to take us to the next level of economy?
Thanks, Dr. Sharma. That's a very pertinent question. See, we should look at this as one basket of the total maritime infrastructure, in which when you look at let's say the Gati Shakti, there are two large parts being addressed over there. The ports and the shipping. And in shipping, we are the deliverers. So we are the vehicle deliverers. Let's put it that way. So shipping to thrive, you need your maritime infrastructure. So this goes hand in hand. So if as a country we need to move forward in the maritime space, we need to, on the other side, you must be strong on shipping. And only if you are strong on shipping, you can be expected to be strong on shipbuilding and the allied industries. Now, let me touch upon the shipbuilding part first, which is where I come from, and I'll just touch upon the maritime infra part also. Shipbuilding, due to a set of reasons from over the last 30-35 years, due to a set of reasons, I'm not getting into it, this country did not pay the kind of importance to what we are calling the heavy engineering space. Mr. Datta, from the automobile industry space, we know very clearly what has actually happened from Maruti till now. How Maruti came in, probably we are aware. And what was the impetus for Maruti? So what has happened is, in detailed studies have shown that the auto industry globally leads to an multitude of light industries, and India has done exceedingly well in this space. So the auto industry has gone exceedingly well, and this has led to light industries. The shipbuilding side, actually the shipbuilding is a mother industry for heavy engineering. We did not thrive on shipbuilding. We did not thrive on heavy engineering. Even today, when you look at heavy engineering in India, you don't see too many heavy engineering. Just to go back a little bit, like today we talk about the likes of Japan, Korea, and let's take a few names. We take the names of Kawasaki. We look at Mitsubishi. Kawasaki was a shipbuilder. Mitsubishi was a shipbuilder. Come to Korea, we take the names of Hyundai, Samsung, Daewoo, they're all shipbuilders. So it is Kawasaki Heavy Industries, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Samsung Heavy Industries, Daewoo Heavy Industries. All these started off as heavy industries. The shipbuilding set forth heavy engineering in that country. Due to a set of reasons, we have, let's put it clearly, we have missed that bus. But because this country invested heavily in the defense space, well, I can see you have a defense background. At least in the shipbuilding part on defense, that is on the naval side, India has done exceedingly well. Today, in various shipyards in India, there are 42 different platforms being produced in the country. And the recent budget, when we are talking 68% of all defense should actually be done in the country, it actually is looking at the naval part of it. The Air Force and the Army have not been able to do that much. So it is actually that larger policies which has actually defined how the shipbuilding industry has actually moved. But as we are speaking, again, as I said, technological onslaught, the digitalization, and as Mr. Datta pointed out, the EV part in the mobility space, the same thing is happening in the marine space. So there is a totally different change that's happening from a EV part, from a decarbonization, global decarbonization initiative. We are talking about alternate fuels, non-fossil fuels. We are talking about ammonia. We are talking about hydrogen. And this right now is a major opportunity. As we are speaking, company like mine, we are today doing a set of 23 fully electric vessels for the Cochin Metro. This is the first time an urban mobility space is being opened up in the country. And this is the largest ever urban mobility project anywhere in the world. So we are actually doing it. Today, I'm building a set of vessels for Norwegian clients, which are going to be 100% electric, 1,800 kilowatt hour electric, and fully autonomous, no man on board. And the Norwegians have ordered it in India. So we are seeing the sparks over here. I think we can go much more, but not in the entire space, because capacities have been built up in China and Korea. I think there's no point going and fighting that right now, but there is an emerging new tech space that's coming in. That's on the shipbuilding side. On the maritime infra side, I think this country is doing very well. From a ports point of view, between the public sector and the private sector, and classic interface that's happening, we are doing exceedingly well. India could actually become the global hub. We are already in some of these markets, let's say crude, like bulk cargo. India is the capital of the world. With our organizations like the Reliance, the Jindals, the Adani Group, I think there's a lot of stuff happening in the country, and the maritime infrastructure is coming up very well. So I think over the next 10 years, this space could actually see something which we have not seen in the last 30 years. Technology will come into play, and big money is also being invested into this space.
Thank you very much, sir. This is generally the area which normal public is not aware of. Thank you very much for reassuring. Over to you, Professor Biju.
Yeah, thank you, Colonel Sharma. I just wanted to ask Madhu a little bit personal question, a little bit, technical, official question. And before that, I must inform all this, of course, the panelists that Sri Madhu is the one person, as far as I know, was involved in, launching India's first aircraft carrier, right from the order stage to final, launching of the ship into the waters. So, Madhu, I want to share your, feeling when that aircraft carrier actually touched water.
Biju, this is a matter of great pride for every Indian, because To put it very, very simplistically, this is the largest ever engineering product from India. And just the vessel is about 20,000 crores, minus the airplane part of it. And this is about Atmanirbhar Bharat. We coined this phrase only 2 years back, but this project is quintessential. While as Cochin Shipyard, we have deep pride that we are holding the project, because every inch of that ship has been detail engineered in Cochin Shipyard, and from the first cut plate till the vessel where it's today, we're down 3 successful rounds of sea trials. And as we are talking, prior to 15th of August this year, which is we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And for information, Cochin Shipyard is also turning 50 years this year. This vessel will be commissioned and dedicated to the nation. This is where we are on this particular vessel. But since you asked this question, for the students and for every Indian, this is how a country should move forward, because this is about teaming up. This is about Team India, because just the steel in this ship is built by SAIL, made by Steel Authority of India Limited. The DRDO has developed the welding techniques. We have developed the welding procedures. A company like the Mishru Dhatu Nigam Limited has delivered the electrodes. Tata Advanced Power Systems, Larsen & Toubro, Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited, Kirloskar Pneumatics, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Bharat Electronics Limited, you name it, more than 300 MSME companies, and on a given day, more than 2,000 people working on that vessel. This is how we have built up that vessel. And I can tell you, this is a technological marvel. 30 planes will be carried on the vessel. It's got some of the finest features in the world, and it can resist a nuclear, chemical, or a biological attack. So one of the greatest vessels, and when it touches the water, yes, I being heading the organization, it's a matter of great pride, but more so because I'm part of the team and happy to be part of the team. So great effort from Team India.
But in case
Congratulations, Madhu. I mean, it's a monumental achievement with you at the helm of affairs. Wonderful show. We wish all the best for your future launching of frigates and aircraft carriers and so on. Over to Dr. Sharma.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Biju. My next question is for Mr. Nawaz. Mr. Nawaz, thank you for very, very enlightening talk. I go back to the main theme which we have kept for this. Now, GDP, in our GDP, share of service sector is approximately 54%, industry about 26%, and agriculture around 20%. Now, if you see the percentage of population dependent is 10, 14, and 60%. Means the agriculture, which has 60% population dependent on it, has only 18% share in GDP. And it sees only about 4 to 5% annual growth. Now, if we have to reach 5 trillion target, the economists feel that our service sector must be, aiming for 3 trillion, industry 1 trillion, and agriculture also 1 trillion. Now, I think you are actually involved in 2 of the sectors. So, may I ask you, what are the challenges and roadblocks you feel are there in our march to this targets which we have set for ourselves?
Sharma sir, Nawaz has left because he had some urgent meeting.
Oh.
So he is not here at the moment. So would you like to ask to Sri Arjit Datta?
Will you please take over, sir?
Okay. All right. So I think we have a few interesting guests also waiting. So over to Shamsi. You can collate the question and put to the panelists.
Sir, we have Mr. Johnson Alexander, CEO of Universate Consultancy and Services. So, sir, I invite you to put forward your question to the panelists. The platform is open to you, sir. Johnson, sir, could you hear me?
Yeah, Samshi ma'am, I can see him in team.
Yes.
Okay.
I can see him too.
So, or else shall we move to the next question?
So we can go to Balkis.
Okay. Okay, we have
you
a
hear me?
question. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah. Actually, I had a a similar question what Dr. Sharma asked Madhu Nair. The question was, about 95% of India's trade by volume and about 70% by value is through marine transport. And, and we are talking about a $5 trillion economy, and the challenges in terms of meeting the trade requirements, when we have, commercial shipbuilding facility in Kochi and Vizag and few other places. So isn't it a challenge to meet the $5 trillion economy with this limited, shipbuilding capacity which India has? That was a question which I had, and I think Dr. Sharma had asked.
Yeah, I do fully agree from a shipbuilding perspective. While we can grow further, I think the significant growth that you will see in the shipbuilding, ship repair space, you will see significant growth. But your question on when the economy reaches 5 trillion, from a trade point of view, from the ship's point of view, it's again shipping. And shipping, there's one deep facet about shipping which probably not, it doesn't come into normal business just like that, because shipping is about deep-rooted money which you need, because a ship's life is about 20 plus years.
That's correct.
And a large ship costs you $25 million up to $100 million, let's put it. An LNG ship would cost you about $200 million, just one piece.
Yeah.
So this kind of money you need to be invested over long term. And you need at least a 12-year loan with a balloon which can take it to 18 to 20-year loan. This kind of money, typically Indian banking system is not able to finance it.
Okay.
Point one. Point two, the Indian banking system, since we operate out of Indian rupee economy, which we still are at a 5% inflationary situation, you need funds either from European banks, which can lend you at LIBOR plus just practically no percentage points over there. So you need this financing background. That's one reason why the financial part on Indian shipping has not done exceedingly well. But what is now being talked about is a new model, which is actually the lease, the buy, sell, lease and lease back model, which Indigo Airlines, if you just look at that model. So this, what you do in planes is the same thing which will be done on ships. Policy changes are needed, and India is now enforcing those policy changes. So you can actually have ships being bought by somebody else's money. You have the market, you have the capability. Indians are some of the finest seafarers worldwide, and some of the best shipping companies in the world are headed by Indians. But because you either operate out of a Hong Kong or a Singapore, but you would see very shortly the GIFT City in Ahmedabad would become the first place where we'll actually start this lease model, and this will be formalized within the country. And there would be many more ships under the lease model that will actually come into India. So from a shipping perspective, we could see stupendous growth coming in, and this would augur well for the $5 trillion economy.
Or is it because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, because Korea, Japan?
Yeah, correct. Large shipbuilding, because these are heavy capital investments which has been made. And while you don't want to, I always say, why do you want to run? You miss that large bus. Why do you want to run and catch the same old bus? Why don't you take a flight and catch the new bus? The new bus is basically about alternate fuels, EV, and the advanced tech. There's a market emerging over there. So that is something which we could go and tap, and let the large vessels come in on a different model. We can just lease it out from the market. That will serve the requirements.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Madhu.
So we have our next question from Mr. B. Balakrishnan. Sir is an IIT and IIM alumnus. He worked previously as general manager at Tata Motors, senior GM with Harrison Malayalam, and general manager Keltron. Sir, you can have your question with the panel.
My question is to, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
Okay.
can hear you, sir.
My question is to probably both the panel members who are present now. Sorry, all the three people. Now, we talked about the pandemic getting over and moving forward. Now, as we move forward, a lot of buoyant activities seen in startup in Indian scene. Now, when you talk about startups, they have a potential to grow into large companies over a period of time. And in many of the startups, initially they go through a lot of transformation. And what I find is to a company to graduate and mature from a startup into a normal company needs a change in terms of the leadership somewhere on the way. In other words, an entrepreneur has to become a manager, a leader, a team player. Now, in some of these, in fact, many of these startups have been success stories. They have faced these issues. So, how could an industry can provide some kind of a mentoring program or some kind of a pathway to make sure that these don't get get into problems because of leadership issues, because a few of them have foundered and then probably the growth suffers. So with seasoned industry leaders around, can this problem be tackled by Indian industry? That is my question. So either to any of the panelists.
Ashish, can you take this question?
Mr. Datta, Mr. Ashish is not on the platform. So
Okay.
Mr. Ashish and Mr. Miran are not there.
Okay. Then I will take a little time to answer this question. I will take this up. So basically, I think you are right. Today, we have, of course, we take a pride of having more than 50 unicorns in India for the startup, in the startup journey. So, but at the same time, we have a big risk of, many of them not doing so well going forward. So I think we have, at the same time, we have a lot of success stories with our old economic companies and which have done so well. So I think a close coordination between these two would be required, which is actually budding up in many places. We can see that, like a counter help, like what would I say, making an ecosystem in which the old companies, old economic companies are helping with their experience to the new economic companies, the startups, doing kind of mentoring. And also a reverse mentoring is also there. The new startups are also helping the old companies, what to do, how to get into the new technology sphere. So it's a symbiotic relationship, I would say, which we see growing up between the old and the new startups, which would help the success, which is required for the success of both. Like, it is not only that there is a threat to the new gen companies. There is also a threat to the old gen companies to fade away, not to adapt with the technologies. So a mutual symbiotic relationship, like the independent directors sitting in the board of and there is also a mentoring program which can also help in building this challenge in answering to the challenge. So the challenge is in both the sides. One faces a technological obsolescence challenge, the other faces the business challenges. So here, a symbiotic relation can actually help. Mr. Nair, you want to add anything?
No, I fully subscribe to this. You use the word the symbiotic relationship. See, one part is actually the domain knowledge. For example, when we are talking about banking, there's no substitute to a banker's knowledge about what is the banking thought process. But let's say a fintech company and somebody who thinks fintech, he comes in with a different viewpoint. Again, as I said, he is wired differently. His delivery systems are different. But that fintech guy, when he starts, he doesn't understand banking. Now, this challenge we have seen, like Would a fintech company tomorrow become a bank, or would a bank become a fintech company? The answer is more or less solved. Both will coexist and both needs each other. Because a good bank will need a fintech platform. Today, let's say you look at, let's say a bank like a federal bank. But the fintech may not be able to roll out. They would need a federal bank to roll out. Now, this symbiotic relationship is one thing that will continuously be needed in anything on the domain knowledge. For example, retail marketing. Today, like COVID threw us opportunities. We couldn't open hotels, we couldn't open shops. So hotels were on deliveries. Now, when you are on deliveries, why do you need a prominent shop? You can actually be in a dark area, or you can be in the back end. And so you can, but at the back end, you need to know what is hoteliering, and you need to understand the basic domain expertise. The platform can actually connect in the distribution model. So always is mentoring both sides. You know, it is the word that has been used is very correct. It's mentoring and reverse mentoring. So I think this symbiotic relationship will help. Certain things like software as a service and what can actually move forward, that mentoring may not be too much required from the established brick and mortar industry or the spaces, but certain other areas, especially normal retailing or industry manufacturing practices, you would need much more of mentoring. But there is no one-stop answer to this. I think you'll have to take it as it comes, but a good symbiotic relationship may help quite a lot.
Thank you, Shamsi. Thank you, Madhu. Thank you, Arjit. Sharma sir, we are running, we have overshot our time. So would you like to wind up this discussion by saying thanks to the panelists? Okay, so I think from Kochi's perspective, thank you, Madhu. Thank you, Arjit, for patiently taking all the questions, and our students and faculty and also the industry panelists, I'm sure, enlightened by your delivery. And I'm sure that I would have personally liked to listen to you for another hour or so, but all of you, but then of course the time doesn't permit that. And I would also like to thank Nawaz and Ashish, who had to leave because of certain urgent commitments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Due to time constraint, we have to wind up. There are multiple questions coming up, so we can take up that later on. Also, before we wind up, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our guests from the corporate who have taken out time from their busy schedule and to be present on this platform. We would really like to thank all the industry people who have attended this session by their presence. They had few questions, but now they have left, some of them. Thank you so much, everybody. Now I invite Dr. Dipti Tulpule, Assistant Dean, Amity Global Business School, Pune, for closing remark followed by vote of thanks. Dr. Dipti Tulpule is an IIM alumnus. She is the PhD in Business Ethics, MBA in Marketing and HR Analytics course from IIM Rohtak, and completed Psychological First Aid by Johns Hopkins University, USA. Dr. Dipti is the recipient of Teaching Training Quality Excellence Award in the year 2021 and is certified trainer for Qualification Pack of Trainers. She is also the Vice Chairperson of ISTD Pune chapter. Dr. Dipti, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. I'm audible, right? Thank you, Dr. Swati.
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. Good evening, all. I'm really gratified for giving me a chance to deliver vote of thanks speech to such an honorable panelist member on behalf of my team. The Medicure leader tells, the good leader explain, the superior leader demonstrate, the great leader inspires. I would like to thank our inspiration, respected Honorable Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, Founder President, Amity Education Group, for his blessings, inspiration, and motivation. You cannot transit wisdom and insight to another person. The seed is already there. A good teacher touches the seed, allowing it to wake up, to sprout, and grow. I extend deepest gratitude to Honorable Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, for his vision, leadership, and encouragement. I thank all the dignitaries present here for being guiding light. I owe immense gratitude to our beloved Mr. U. Ramachandran Sir, Senior Vice President, MET Education Group, for believing in us, constantly guiding, encouraging, and supporting us. Thank you very much, sir. It's too difficult to propose a vote of thanks to speaker after such an illuminating and gripping session as it brings us to end. Colonel Dr. Sharma, Director General AGBS Pune, and Dr. Biju, Director AGBS Kochi, you have exceedingly justified the role of moderator by doing manthan of wisdom. Thank you very, very much, sir, for creating an atmosphere of learning from our invitees. Advice is like snow. The softer it falls, the longer it dwells upon, and the deeper it sinks into the mind. I thank Dr. Prasad Rao, sir, Director General AGPS Hyderabad, to make such an elaborative opening remark. Thank you so very much, sir. Sir, all the panel members, thank you all a lot for giving us precious time in your busy schedule. It really means a lot to us. You have surely added to the charm of this. It was really great time listening to you all. Mr. Ashish, sir, you are sharing information on fast-forward digitalization that normal and its impact on economy was very optimistic to imbibe. Shift from not to do things to must to do things. Thank you, sir. Mr. Madhu Nayarji, it was indeed proud to understand the concept of rewire your thoughts. Indians, due to traditional custom, basics at place, wide enough for digitalization, damn trinity at place, we all face challenges, but overcome it in short time successfully. Thank you to Tigargan, the thought of proud Indians were able to face and adapt change. Thank you very, very much, sir. Mr. Arjit, sir, life has two sides, see the best. Your example and experience on automobile industry, supply chain, and government initiative to balance demand and supply and transformation has made us feel positive towards the change. Thank you, sir, for that. Mr. Nawazji, thank you for sharing your thoughts on marching from informal economy to formal economy. Organizations changing their orientation toward more public-spirited business, more ethical and transparent, and also government initiatives and reforms for welfare. Thank you very much for this insight, sir. Thank you all again. A heartfelt thank to the representative from various corporate houses present among audience to be present during the discussion and making it more lively. Thank you all, the head of the institution of various campuses of MET Global Business School for their continuous support and time. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart the IT team Noida and Is Invisible Hands. I would like to express sincere thanks to the faculty members and students from different campuses, the headquarter team Noida. Teamwork makes the dream work happen. Sincere thanks to the organizing team of AGBS Kochi and Pune for working day and night for planning and executing this event, without whom this event would not be possible. We would like to sincerely thank the organizing team of Dr. Aparajita, Dean AGBS Noida, and Dr. Preeti, heading Marketing and Operations, MET Global Business School, heading MET Information Sectors. Dr. Rajiv Samuel, Director, MET Global Business School, Indore, for continuous support. And of course, all the students volunteers for putting their hearts and soul for this event. I take opportunity to thank the earnest efforts of MCs, Dr. Swati and Dr. Samsi. Last but not the least, we thank our wonderful audience for patiently listening to our thought throughout. Thank you so very much, everyone. Have a great evening. We look forward to meet you all in the third series of Leadership Summit 2022 on the theme Resilient Leadership, Challenges in Retaining the Modern Workforce, scheduled on 16th February. Thank you all. Once again, stay safe. Thank you. Stay safe. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was indeed interaction.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was indeed interactive and learning session. Have a great evening to everyone.
Thank you, everyone.